It's time to accelerate. Hi, I'm your host, Andy Paul. Join me as I host conversations with the leading experts in sales, marketing, sales automation, sales process, leadership, management, training, coaching, any resource that I believe to help you accelerate the growth of your sales, your business, and most importantly, you. Hey friends, this is Andy. This episode of Accelerate is brought to you by KiteDesk. KiteDesk is the all-in-one sales development platform that lets you manage all of your sales development activities, such as email, direct dial phone calls, and your daily to-dos, all in one place to open up conversations, book more qualified meetings, and really create a predictable pipeline.
KiteDesk Flow and KiteDesk Find allows us to find exactly the right people in the industries we're looking for, in the roles that we're looking for.
That's KiteDesk customer Michael Orphis. Michael is head of sales at Stratified. In addition to the all-in-one management of his sales development team's days, KiteDesk helps him with another big part of his job.
We have the ability with KiteDesk to do what we call targeted campaigns. Our conversion rate from what we were doing in the past to what we're doing now has been really massive.
So you don't have to take tons of time to research, prospect, then blast large lists of people that never turn into sales opportunities.
We're seeing higher clicks, we're seeing higher open rates, and without question, we've seen a massive increase in pipeline generation.
So, to learn more about KiteDesk, schedule a free demo, and learn how to create predictable pipeline at your sales organization, go to kitedesk.com/accelerate. That's KITEDESK.com/accelerate. Hello, and welcome to Accelerate. I am excited to be joined on the show again by Jon Ferrara. He's founder and CEO of Nimble, one of the great innovators in sales technology and sales we've had over the last umpty-ump years. I won't give the exact number of years, Jon, but welcome to the show.
Thank you, Andy. I'm super excited to be here with you today to share our common passion about the power of relationships and their ability to help you achieve your passion, plan, and purpose in life. And ideally, that's serving others, because I really believe that service is what sales is all about.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I think that's one of the things that seems to be missing so often in the conversation about, what the purpose of sales is, and it's to help the customer make a purchase decision. I mean, I don't think selling is about anything other than that.
Yeah, and sometimes it's maybe not even your product that you're going to be helping them make that selection, right?
Right. No,
and
absolutely.
I think the best salespeople are really there for their customer success, even if it means that today they're not going to be buying your products or services. Because I think in the end, if you do your job right, not only will they pick up the phone and call you in the future, but they'll drag their friends with them. And that's what we're trying to do, is to build community through conversation, to establish ourselves as the trusted advisor to our prospects and customers, and ideally their influencers as well.
Well, we were talking before we started recording about this whole issue that there's some people that are very infatuated with the science of selling, the data-driven. We've got all these metrics. We've got all this insight now through data into what our prospects are doing. And then, I don't want to call old school, but people that are saying, hey, it's all about the art of selling. And clearly there's a blend. It's not one or the other, but you can't get rid of the person out of the equation.
You can't. And I think that we're all struggling with engagement. I think that we're all over-connected and over-communicated. There's a Dunbar limit with the number of people that you could manage in your head in regarding to the relationships that you're nurturing.
Well, and tell people about that Dunbar number, because I think we might have even talked about that last time, but
Sure.
Let people know what that is.
Sure. So if you think about it, how many times have you forgotten somebody's name or where they're from or what company they work for, but you remember their face, right? And you remember other things. You can't remember everything in your head. That's why we developed the Daytimer, and that's why we have these things today.
Right.
And so there's an English guy that did a study on how many relationships can a human being maintain on average, and the average number is between 100 and 200. And most people who use our relationship platform, Nimble, have thousands tens of thousands of contacts.
Sure.
And there's no way that you can manage all those relationships. But ultimately, if you don't stay top of mind with the people that matter, that can help you achieve your passion, plan, and purpose in life, then you're going to fail. And I love this saying by Mae West, out of sight is out of mind, and out of mind is out of money, honey. How do you stay top of mind with the people that are going to help you grow your business? And I think that you do that by using tools and techniques. But ultimately, I like to tell stories to teach. And the most of the fuel that's used in a car to get up to speed, most of the fuel that's used in a rocket to achieve orbit is that moment, is getting up to speed and achieving orbit. But maintaining orbit or maintaining speed requires very little effort or fuel. Right. And so if you think about a relationship, our relationship took time for us to see each other and then start this conversation. And that's the beginning fuel of that takeoff. But, if we periodically touch each other, engage with each other, add value to each other's journey, we'll stay top of mind. And that's why we're back on this conversation today, having this podcast, is because we periodically reach out and say, hey, Andy, what's going on? And do something to stay top of mind.
Right. So let's talk about Nimble a little bit and how you help facilitate that, just so people not already may be familiar with the product, or if they are, they don't know the details sort of. But, it's built on a philosophy that you have, which you've been talking about.
Well, let's start by just talking about this thing about, we talked about engagement, right?
Right.
And about the science versus the art of relationships.
Okay.
And so if you think about the way most businesses manage their leads, they use CRM for that. And the CRM system isn't really for the customer-facing business person to be more effective at engagement.
Exactly.
It's there for reporting. So I like to joke, the reason that CRM stands for customer reporting management, not customer relationship management.
I like that.
Further, the reason they call it Salesforce, they have to force salespeople to use it because they work for the CRM. It doesn't work for them. Most people's CRM is an inbox or their inbox or a spreadsheet. And the fact that there's 225 million global businesses and less than 1% use any CRM is a testimony to the fact that CRMs fail at customer engagement and relationship management.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's take a second. Let's talk about that figure. You said so fewer than 1% of global businesses use the CRM.
Use any CRM.
Any CRM.
Yes.
It's funny because I was just on another conversation with another guest, and I was telling about a company I was talking to last week. Company is about 100 years old, and they have 62 salespeople. They're top market share leader in the industry. Their big deal for 2017 is they're going to implement a CRM system for the first time.
Yeah.
And this person I was talking to, and this guest I was talking to earlier today, couldn't believe it. You know, they didn't think there existed a company of that size that wasn't using CRM. And I think statistics are put out to make it believe that more companies are using them than there really are.
I think that many companies buy a CRM because everybody else is. They think they have to. So let's talk about the systems that we use for managing relationships in the customer lifecycle of a business. So, and I'm doing this just to set up why I built Goldmine and why we built Nimble today.
Okay. Let's do it.
So if the whole point in business is to get people to walk through the door, right?
Yes.
And I really, my heart breaks when I walk down the retail store shops and I see these empty these storefronts where somebody's standing inside the store and nobody's there. And every time you walk by, they look hoping you come into their store, right? And this is how businesses used to work. Today, we set up a website, then we set up WordPress, and we drive eyeballs to that site, ideally through content to inspire and educate. But ultimately, once you get that eyeball, you got to do something with it. So we buy market automation to nurture it till it's, quote, lead qualified. What that means is you want to drive them to your website, capture a bit of information like their email, begin to nurture or follow up with them, to drip them, and then drive them either to come back and attend a webinar or read an ebook or give you more information till you can qualify them, and then you put them in the CRM and tell your sales reps to go get them. So the CRM doesn't have any information. The sales rep has to go and Google who that person is and what their business is about, and then go log what they know. Then they go engage on whatever channel they can, and that means email, that means the phone, that means whatever tool you can. and then they go log what they did. So you have to go to the CRM to work for it by logging the data of what you know and then what you did. And that's the biggest cause of failure, is that you work for it and you go to it to work for it. But really where you're living is in your inbox, and now more and more in social media or in mobile, going out and meeting the customer.
Right.
And so I believe the heart of most people's business is the contacts they're connecting to, the conversations they're having, and the activities they're driving from their conversations, which is email, contact, or calendar. And there's only two platforms that you could really choose today as a business. It's Office 365 or Google Apps for Work, because you need a cloud-based email, contact, calendar, and productivity suite for you and your team to share that across your notebook and your iPads and your phones, et cetera. And so really your CRM today is Outlook, Address Book, or Google Contacts. And that's the premise where we start, is by saying we can layer on top of that by unifying it together. Because you think about it, and which one do you use, Andy? You use Google Apps or you use
Office? Google Apps, right.
Okay. And I'll bet you never go to the contact record in Google Apps, do you?
No. Well,
okay.
Very, very rarely. Just to look up a group address on one group, right?
Right. But the thing is you really live in that inbox, and occasionally you go to the calendar.
Well, actually, I do the calendar quite a bit, but those two, yes.
Okay. Interestingly enough, the contact record should have the history of email and calendar interactions that you and the team have had, and the contact record should be a shared contact record for the whole team. But if you were on a team account, you would notice that there isn't a shared contact database, let alone the history of interactions on email and calendar. And that's the big problem. This is what Goldmine fixed 30 years ago. So imagine my previous company that I founded, which pioneered CRM and contact management, predated Outlook. There was no Outlook back in the day.
Yeah.
And we were the first program that integrated email, contact, and calendar. So when you look at a contact record, you can see the history of interactions that you and the team have had. And then we did the simple sales and marketing on top of that. And that's where everybody in the company lived, which was amazing because everybody was on one page with a customer.
Right.
Sales, marketing, customer service, accounting, management, et cetera. Today, you kind of live in your Outlook, Address Book, or Google Contacts, but mainly you live in whatever application that's part of your department. So if you're in sales, you're in the CRM. If you're in marketing, you're in the market automation. If you're social, you're in the social dashboard. If you're accounting, you're in the accounting program. If you're customer service, you're in the customer service. None of these things talk to each other. And so there's no unified system of record for relationship management in your business. That is the big problem Nimble fixes by going into your business and unifying your Office 365, Google Apps for Works, contact, email, calendar, enriching it with people and company data, and then letting you use it in whatever application you are in. So if you have a CRM, if you have a support program, if you have social, Nimble actually works in all those different places. And so that means that everybody in the company is on one page with a unified contact, email, calendar, social, and then you could use it wherever you're at, because you shouldn't have to go to Google Apps to look up a contact record or to go to Salesforce to do that.
So I guess question based on what you said is, I mean, does anybody use Nimble as on top of an existing CRM system? Yes.
In fact, we just signed a deal with Microsoft where Microsoft is just hired the guy who started the Salesforce App Exchange, and he's building an App Exchange for Dynamics CRM.
Right.
And we're going to be a launch partner for that. So interestingly enough, Nimble can either be your complete social sales and marketing platform for your business by integrating it with your website and your Google Apps or Office 365, or we could work within whatever existing social sales or marketing systems that you're using and play a role by enriching and enhancing that, because the CRM systems fail as well. You have to go to them to use them. Right. And what we do is we'll actually unify your Salesforce or your CRM Dynamics records with your Office 365 records, and then let you use that where you're engaging with the customer, which is going to be your inbox and social.
Right. So, I mean, there's been an explosion in the market in the last couple of years of these sales development platforms that basically, used by inside sales teams, Outreach and SalesLoft and so on. But it seems like to some degree, what they really do is these are tools that enable companies that invested in Salesforce to actually get the ROI out of Salesforce that they need.
Yeah. Yes. So the issue is this: today's sales and marketing technology tech stack is out of hand. So if you think about that life cycle that we talked about, that you need to, the tools you need to buy, You need to buy a market automation system, which I call MailChimp to Marketo. It's going to cost you $300 to $3,000 a month just for that marketing.
For
then
an
you're
enterprise,
going to buy a CRM, which is going to cost you $50 to $150 per rep per month.
Right.
Then you need sales intelligence, so you don't have to Google somebody. So you need information on people and companies. That's Inside View or LinkedIn Sales Navigator or Discover.org or RainKing. That's $50 to $150 per rep per month. Then you need some tool for outreach. So either Yesware or HubSpot Sales or
ToutApp or something.
ToutApp. And that is a templated email tool that enables you to outreach at scale in a one-to-one way. That's $50 to $150 per month. So if you add up those 4 tools, you're spending $300 to $500 per month per rep for marketing, sales, sales intelligence, and sales enablement email tracking. The interesting thing is Nimble's blended all that into one cohesive platform, so you don't need to buy all those tools. And I'll argue that when you do buy all those tools, A, they don't talk to each other, so you can't outreach in a segmented one-to-one messaging way because the Yesware and ToutApp don't know who that person is and what their business is about and the history of interaction. If you have that, then you could build segments and message them in a one-to-one way like this. Hey, Andy, it's been a while since I've been on your blog. I would love to reconnect and learn more about what's going on with you and what new books you've got out. Let's connect and, catch up. Right. And so ultimately, if you can reach out in that one-to-one authentic way, you break through the clutter and you increase your open and your click rates. And so 30 years ago, I trademarked automated processes, which is actions based on triggers, if this and that for people and companies. So if you put a name in the Goldmine database that looks like this, Goldmine would do that. Day 1, do this. Day 7, do that. That's market automation. And so Goldmine blended sales and market automation with relationship management. Nimble is basically just redoing that into a cloud platform.
So in Nimble today, then you have the ability to set up, as you really described, a sort of a workflow or a cadence, if you will, of contacts. You could define, hey, if this happens, then over the next 10 days, we're going to do 3 emails and we'll send you a reminder to do 2 phone calls.
So we haven't built the cadence piece yet. Okay. What we have built is this. If you put a name in Nimble, we'll enrich it with people and company data, including who they are, what their business is about, and the history and interactions for you and the team on email, calendar, and social.
Okay.
And then we'll allow you to build segments of people based on parameters of that data we enrich it with or the other data that we put in there. And then you could send an outreach email to that person based off this segment. Nimble will track if they open it, if they click it, et cetera, and we'll give you those signals. You can manually build a follow-up email based on the people that didn't open or reply. We're adding the ability to automate that after end business days, do that in a sequence. That'll be part of a new packaging, pricing, and positioning that will roll out this quarter.
Got it.
Or actually, Q1 2017.
All right, which is right about when people are listening to this. So fantastic timing. So who's sort of the ideal client profile for Nimble?
It's individuals and teams of 2 to 25 in small, medium, large, and enterprise companies who are working in a B2B or B2C fashion, trying to reach out and build these relevant and authentic relationships and stay connected with people. Really, it's not just about salespeople that need to do that. We all need to do that. We all need to be worried about our brand and our network and reach out and nurture and maintain it. But certainly, primarily, salespeople are great fit. PR people, biz dev people, investor relations. So you could use it across the board in a company. Okay.
So, and really, from a philosophical standpoint, what we've been talking about here today, and what you've sort of, if I understand, what you've really built in is it's really about connecting.
Amen.
Okay. Perfect. So let's talk about CRM in general for a little bit. Is how is it going to evolve? I mean, this is a topic that I get asked a lot about. Again, we've seen all these tools, the tech stack sort of explode, most of which are built on top of Salesforce, quite honestly. The surveys come out that the average tech stack, I think, is it's bigger than what everybody thinks it is. I mean, depending on the industry, I've seen anywhere from like 7 to 11 apps in the sales tech stack. So how do you see that's going to evolve?
Well, number one is I think a lot of these individual tools are going to go by the wayside because they're features, they're not platforms. And ultimately, I think that we're all going to get tired being cut by 1,000 deaths, having to go out and buy all these different tools and try to get them to work together. Salespeople aren't that sophisticated, and they don't want to manage a bunch of tools. They want to manage relationships. And so ultimately, today, I think the biggest problem with CRMs is it's a dead database that you define what data you want your salespeople to type in, and then you beat on them to do it. And then in many cases, management doesn't even run the reports unless there's a problem with the salesperson, and they use it as a hammer to beat on them.
Well, they run quota attainment reports, and that's what it.
Exactly. But ultimately, what we want to be able to do is to enable that customer-facing business team member to be most effective at that moment that they're engaging with that other person, wherever they're engaging. So I believe that rather than you having to go to your CRM and work for it, that it will work for you by building itself from the data that's already in your business and then work with you wherever you're working, whether it is in your inbox or whether it's in social, whether it's on phone, and it'll use intelligence to mine all that data to help surface the right person at the right time on the right channel and help you to be more human in that engagement. So I don't think that we'll be less human. I think we'll be more human because we won't have to go manage all this stuff.
Right.
And we'll be able to actually focus on listening to that person because we already have the key aspects that we need to be effective. And we can then listen in the moment to learn how we might be able to add the value necessary to earn that person's intimacy and trust and ultimately earn a mutually beneficial, measurable business outcome from that engagement.
Okay. So what you're seeing really then is a future where, say AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning plays a role in being able to mine all the data that's out there and synthesize into something that makes sense, an alert saying, hey, it's been 3 weeks since you talked to John. Maybe you shouldn't be calling, maybe you should be calling John or whatever that is in terms of helping you prioritize what it is you could do that have the most impact at that time.
I think that there's going to be a collapse in the number of tools and platforms that are out there into simpler, smarter unifications of social, mobile, and big data that helps us to be more effective. So rather than right now, the whole industry is designed to sell to management, and it's not really designed to benefit the customer-facing business team member. And if you think about it,
and they're suspicious of it, quite frankly, right?
Yeah. So Mark Benioff built Salesforce by punching Tom Siebel in the nose and saying you're complex, expensive, and you're not designed for salespeople. So if you Google Wayback Machine 1999 Salesforce, you'll see that Salesforce was a simple SFA tool.
Right.
And so now Salesforce has become Siebel, and now I think that opens the door for a simpler, smarter, better, more, quote, nimble solution to become possibly that next generation of tools that powers the next 20 million business people around the world to achieve their passion, plan, and purpose in life.
Well, I think that's really sort of the key, I guess, for what you see as you described earlier is not just these other tools. We're also seeing proliferation of CRM systems themselves. And to me, what that's saying is that, yeah, despite the fact that Salesforce is out there and well-established and has this huge market share, is that people aren't getting what they want out of it. Thus,
they're not.
New competitors are entering the marketplace.
And it's an interesting statistic. Besides that, there's 225 million global businesses and less than 1% use any CRM, is the fact that zero of the CRM influencers, editors, bloggers, analysts that I know, and I know them all, Andy, use any CRM.
They don't. So you're saying the industry analysts don't use CRM?
Nobody uses a CRM unless they're beat on to do it. Now, at least the legacy CRMs, the traditional CRMs.
Sure. All right. So let me ask you this question. It's a little bit of a different tack, but is CRM meeting the promises that it makes?
No.
So I mean, I look at research reports.
No. Yes and no. I think that management is extremely happy with their CRMs because it's plumbing for the reporting necessary for them to do their job. And I think that plumbing is required, right? But ultimately, I think that if you talk to the customer-facing business team members, they'll tell you that if they weren't beat on to use it, they wouldn't use it. Because I think that there's two jobs of a CRM. It should run the reporting, but it should also empower the person so that the reporting's accurate. And if the person is basically feeding the CRM the night before the reports are run, then there's a problem.
All right. So, but I was really looking for a different perspective. It seems to me like I feel like we have a sales productivity crisis in that I don't see that the tech stacks that are coming, and this is based on reports. We see industry reports like CSO Insights and Forrester and others. It doesn't show that the situation's improving on the ground relative to more reps hitting quota or individual productivity increasing, close rates increasing, measures that maybe we don't have the best measures, admittedly, but based on measures that are available, it doesn't seem like we're heading in the right direction. I don't necessarily pin the blame on the tech stack, but on the other hand, it doesn't seem to be making it better. So what's going to come out that's going to change this? How do we address this sort of fundamental imbalance I see in the marketplace?
Well, I think that once the tools recognize that really what they need to be doing is working for that customer-facing business team member where that person actually lives, which today is email, social, and mobile. Right. By unifying the data that's most important to them, which are the contacts they're connecting to, the conversations they're having, the activities that they're driving, and then mine that information to help them to connect to the right person at the right time, then I think that people really start loving their tools and actually getting benefit from them. And I think we're really close to that.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
Let's just take a look at these tools for a second. So If you think about market automation, that's like high-level bombing over the battlefield, right?
Exactly.
So if you think about the prospects out there in the battlefield, the bombers spray and pray, right?
Right.
And then what happens is after they've done their carpet bombing, you need to send the boots on the ground. And for them to be successful, they need intelligence and they need the engagement tool, the rifle. And so if you think about the intelligence, that's essentially the insights on people and companies that Nimble provides or that you buy from Inside View or LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And then the engagement, the rifle, is the email template tracking stuff that you get from Yesware, ToutApp, or from Nimble, which we do today. And so you need a blend of all that together, but it needs to work together and it needs to be able to mine who people are and what their business is about in order for you to then send those one-to-one messages. And I'll give you an example of how I do this.
Sure.
So Microsoft asked me to come speak at their World Partner Conference, WPC 16 in Toronto on social selling. Before going to that conference, I wanted to prepare to outreach to people that might be there, to invite them to my session, to start conversations with influencers to drive some results. Because if you're going to go all the way to a city, you better prepare before you go.
Right.
So what I did is I used Nimble to import a Twitter list of last year WPC 15's influencers. There's about 4,000 of them. Right. And I put that, once I imported that list into Nimble enriched those Twitter accounts with people and company information. So I knew who people are, what their business is about. And I was able to segment out of that 3,200 that were meaningful to me. I then tailored a message that was unique to this audience and sent it. I got a 50% open rate. And I drove 25 meetings, one of which resulted in Microsoft signing a deal to bundle Nimble with Office 365 and start reselling it through their VARs. Another resulted in Nimble being bundled inside of Outlook Mobile and being preloaded on 40 million handsets. Now, I would have never got that done if I didn't prepare and then connect, and most importantly, follow up and follow through. Right. And there's no secret to that. You just need to do the basics. I believe it's the basics that wins games.
Oh, I do too. And this is part of the thing that concerns me as I talk to people and I see evolving the sort of this ethos that everything's about the data and the metrics. And if we complement that with a little bit of training on some skills, that's all salespeople need, completely ignoring what you talked about, which is the basics, right? How do I connect? How do I engage? How do I build the intimacy and trust and the relationships with people that can result in them saying, yeah, this is who I want to do business with?
Yeah. Andy, in the old days, we got to know people by going in their office and looking at their walls, looking at the books, the degree of the school they went to, the knickknacks they collect. All that helped us to understand that person's what I call the 5 F's of life: family, friends, food, fun, and frolicking, aligned with our 3 P's: passion, plan, and purpose. Now, if you know these things, you can then earn that intimacy and trust to build the relationship, to get them to open up to you about their business issues, which as a professional, you can then solve. And I'm not talking about anything new. Zig Ziglar, Dale Carnegie, Stephen Covey, Brian Tracy, they all teach the same things. It's just in today's overconnected, overcommunicated world, I think it's getting harder to do, and we all need a little help to do it. And that's why I got back in the business after being retired from selling gold mine. It's because I believe that the job isn't done. I believe that there are millions of people out there just like me who are overwhelmed and they just need help to get their jobs done. And so I dig building tools that power other people and help them achieve their goals.
Okay, I that's fantastic. So, I guess the question I'd have is, aren't we sort of using some of these tools to really exacerbate that problem that you talk about? Though, is that I sign up for a lot of lists intentionally so I can get emails to see what people are doing.
Yeah,
and I mean, by and large, they're boring, if not bad. The emails I get back. And so we're flooding the inboxes of potential prospects with.
I don't disagree. Stuff. Yeah, and the thing is, just because you have automation doesn't mean that you should necessarily just be spraying everybody with it. And so I get emails all the time that I absolutely know are templated. And what I do is I go in and I look at the source. So I view original and I look at the tools people are using. I'm actually thinking about building a tool just to do that, just for the fun of it, as part of Nimble. Just say, oh yeah, this guy's engaging you with Engage.io or, whatever tools, the flavor of the day. But the thing is that you can't just send these non-personalized emails that have a sequence follow-up and think that people are going to respond to you. You got to really do things a little bit different. And I think that the way that you do it different is to understand who somebody is and what their business is about, and figure out how you might add value and put that in the message that you're outreaching so that it is personalized. And the problem with most of these tools, they don't have any idea who Andy Paul is or what your background is. So they don't reach out and tell you something, why they're reaching out, how they might add value, and to make it feel like it's not a machine doing it. And when you feel a machine, you just turn off, don't you, Andy?
Absolutely. But I empathize with a lot of these SDRs, BDRs that are under a tremendous amount of pressure to achieve certain metrics in their daily activities. And personalizing at scale is virtually impossible. So what then becomes the answer? I mean, you've seen this evolve over decades in terms of pioneering this business.
So what do you see the answer being? I just talked about how I took a 4,000 person list, Twitter list of WPC 15 influencers, tailored down to 200. It got a 50% open rate. So it's not impossible. But what you need is a tool that enables you to enrich people and company data at scale, and then to segment and outreach with a tailored message that's personalized to that unique subset group.
Right.
And then to get signals on the opens and clicks. And that's essentially what we're building with Nimble.
So how long did that take you to do?
I started Nimble in 2009. And
I was talking about that specific task that you did with the Twitter list.
Oh. So I imported the list. That took me one click, and it happened in about 20 minutes. And then I segmented it and wrote a letter. I think writing the letter was the thing that took me the longest. Right. It probably took me 20 minutes, 25 minutes to write the letter. And then I segmented. So I went into my Nimble dashboard and I picked the parameters of the types of people based on their background, their company background. And then I built that segment at 200, and then I merged it with the template, and that took me 10 minutes. So I guess the whole thing was under an hour.
All right. Excellent. Like it. So, John, we're going to get the last segment of the show. I've just got a few standard questions I ask all my guests. And Yeah. And actually, you were on episode, I want to direct people back, make sure it's the right one. You were episode 68, where you actually heard these questions originally. So we're going to give you a few more different questions. Cool. Just 4 questions. So first one is this is one that gets a lot of debate, is, in your mind, is it easier to teach a technical non-salesperson how to sell, or how to teach a salesperson how to sell a technical product?
That's a really easy question. And my answer is I would much prefer to hire a liberal arts major or hire somebody from Best Buy or Apple Store, Victoria's Secret, who isn't a salesperson, and teach them the technology and the business skills that I need them to learn in order to be effective at selling Nimble, or back in the day, Goldmine. So what I found is that it's easier to teach somebody technology and business stuff than to remake them as a human being. And that what I'd prefer to have somebody is their focus is coming from a service perspective than a sales perspective. And so I'm always for hiring non-sales, non-technical people and teaching them based off their culture, their background, and their fit within our culture, and then teaching them the technology and the sales skills, but ultimately really less emphasis on sales and more emphasis on success.
All right. So I need to have a third option in that question. I'll put that in. So what's the one great book, I want to say, that's not a business book, not a sales book, that you think every salesperson should read? I mean, is it Shakespeare? Is it poetry? What do you have? Philosophy? What great book do you recommend that they read?
Does Think and Grow Rich count?
No, that's a business book.
All right.
I mean, what have you read in your life that's not business that you found influential? Siddhartha. Okay.
Yeah. Books on self-realization. Because ultimately, for you to be successful in whatever you do, ideally doing what you're passionate about.
Right.
And if you can figure out what you're passionate about, you build a plan to achieve it and make it your purpose on a daily basis, you'll be rich for the rest of your life. And so Siddhartha is about a journey. About a journey of a wealthy man who gives up his wealth and he goes on a journey to self-realization to find that his passion, plan, and purpose in life. And so ultimately, if you do choose sales as your thing, it's great to have a reason why you're doing sales. And ideally, you're selling in order to serve and help other people grow. And if your purpose in every engagement is to listen to learn, to find ways to add value to help that person grow, you will be the most successful salesperson in the world. Okay.
Great answer. And great answer about the book, Siddhartha. I hadn't thought of that for quite some time.
Cool.
So if you could change one thing about your business self, what would it be?
My business self. Andy, I'm a really passionate person, and I love to get up on my soapbox, and I sometimes tend to just go off for a while, right? I love to, some people call me the preacher, and sometimes I think that maybe if I could just back off on that a little bit, but it's who I am, it's who I am. And I think people love me for my passion. Yes. And, I guess I just have to accept that in myself. But,
it's hard to be criticized for being too passionate about what you do.
Yeah. I think I could learn to listen more.
Okay.
We've got 2 of these. We got 1 of these. And I love this feature on GoToMeeting, where in fact, there's like a beta of it where it shows you how much time you talked and how much time they talked. Have you seen that?
No, but that's always what you talk about in sales training is do a heat map of a meeting and see who spent more time talking. You were the customer.
Yeah, and I'll leave you with a story in regards to this. So I was out fundraising, and I was at this large VC company on Sand Hill Road.
Sure.
And I always love to, ask questions and get people to start talking. And of course, I nimble people before the meeting. I kind of know the answers to many of these things, but I'll ask somebody a question. A typical question I might ask is I might say, Andy, of course I've done my homework and I've nimbled you before the meeting, but I always love to hear it in people's own words. Tell me a little bit about yourself. What keeps you up in the morning? What gets you up in the morning? What keeps you up at night? And then I could be quiet and just have them start talking. This VC talked for 40 minutes. It was not even 45 minutes. It was, we had a 50-minute meeting. But the cool thing is, this last 5 minutes, he was so happy after being able to just talk for 45 minutes that he invited me to their partners Monday briefing meeting because he so loved me and my product.
Right.
I didn't.
And you hadn't said a thing, right?
No, I didn't say a thing.
Perfect meeting. All right. Last question for you. So, do you have a favorite quotation or words of wisdom you live by?
I think the more people you help grow, the more you will grow. Also, I came up with this one. Is that I think we're on this planet to grow our souls, not other people grow theirs. And I came up with that. The year after I sold Goldmine, when I almost died from a head tumor, and I just came to the realization that in my journey of healing and spiritual health, that in the end they don't put on your grave, built Goldmine, made millions of dollars. They say beloved father, husband, friend, and so I think that this is really why we're here. And so I think that the whole idea of we're here to be present, listen, add value is really sort of the basis of my whole philosophy.
Excellent. Good. Jon, pleasure to talk to you as always. So tell folks how they can find out more about Nimble and connect with you.
Well, the easiest way to learn about Jon Ferrara, that's JonFerrara, is Google me. Right? Okay. Because unless you have Nimble, you can Nimble me. Nimble would build a record in seconds. But you should, whoever's listening to this, Google yourself and check out your persona, your profile across all the places. If you can't Google yourself, you're doing something wrong about building your brand today. And so if you Google Jon Ferrara, you'll find my identities, JON_Ferrara on Twitter and all the other places. Please connect with me. Let me know a little bit about yourself and how I might be able to add value to you. If you want to try Nimble to help you achieve your passion, plan, and purpose in life, go to nimble.com, nimble.com. It's free for 2 weeks. Try it out and let me know how we might be able to make it even better.
Excellent. Jon, thank you very much.
Andy, it's a pleasure.
Great. And friends, thank you for spending time with us today. Remember to make it a part of your day every day to deliberately learn something new to help you accelerate your success. And an easy way to do that is to make sure you join these conversations with top business experts like my guest today, Jon Ferrara, who shared his expertise about how to accelerate the growth of your business. So thanks again for joining me. Until next time, this is Andy Paul. Good selling, everyone. Thanks for listening to the show. If you like what you heard and want to make sure you don't miss any upcoming episodes, please subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or Stitcher.com. For more information about today's guest, visit my website at andypaul.com.